Welcome to the kingdom. I'm Chris, and this is Good Enough Gaming. Howdy folks, and welcome to this Army Showcase video. I got a commission to paint two of the Kroot Army box that came out a little while ago. And so it is finished, and here it is. So rather than do painting videos for every single one of the models, I did one for an individual Kroot. That video has already been posted. But for example, the characters, they're just kind of more Kroot, and so there wasn't a lot to do there. So rather than do a painting video for everything, I decided instead to do a showcase video because I spend a lot of time on these guys. I think they look pretty good, and so I wanted to show them off. Plus, I know I like watching showcase videos and seeing the work that other people do, seeing their collections, seeing their paint schemes, all that kind of stuff. I enjoy watching that, so I imagine there's at least one or two people out there who enjoy watching those things as well. So this is just like I said, what comes in two of those starter army boxes. Nothing else has been added. So folks might look at that and say, well, you know, you're missing this, you're missing that. Oh, I know. But the commission I got was just for those items. So let's zoom in and take a look at what we've got. So for the characters, first there were two of these shapers, one in each box. And what I decided to do, I'll pan out really quick here, is I painted one box with kind of a tan skin and then one box with a green skin. As I mentioned in the video, they kind of look like Ninja Turtles. But that way, they still blend together. I mean, neither one sticks out. You could intermix and match these models and it would look just fine. Or you could keep them, you could keep them segregated. You could have a Jim Crow army here. But it would be a quick way to distinguish your models. So that was my plan behind painting the two different skin colors. They look good put together, but they're also easily distinguishable if you wanted to keep them apart. That way you could have, like I have here, 4 squads of 10, and for the most part, they won't get too intermixed. Just put, a tan one next to a green one. So when it came to painting the shapers, I did one in tan and the other one in green. And I tried to mix things up a little bit. So this guy, you'll notice the cloth on his head is red, and the cloth on his hands is black. Whereas the one over here, I flipped it. The cloth on his hands is red, and instead I did a different color for the cloth that's on top of his head. So that way, again, there'll be coherency. The army will share some common colors and characteristics, but they're not carbon copies. So that was the plan. How do you take copies of something, still make them look original and unique, but not make them clash? And so that's how I decided to do it there. Then, as far as the two other heroes, same thing. One came with the brown skin, one with the green, and built in the two different ways. So one has the bow, the other has the rifle. And these actually weren't that tough to paint. I was a bit worried because when you have a dark earth tone for the skin, and then you're painting leather on top of that, there's always a concern that everything just kind of blends together, but I think it turned out very well. You pick a nice bright color for a highlight, for an accent, just like with the red here, and suddenly it breaks up the monotony of all those darker neutral tones. So there are the 4 characters. Then we move on to our 4 squads. All of them are identical. Each one has a sergeant. Each one has one of the gentlemen here carrying one of those ranged weapons. And then the rest are just built, tried to mix and match. If there was any option, you could build the model this way or that way. I tried to make sure I did at least one of each and possibly even 2 of each. Another thing that I did is I built twice as many sergeants. Now in 40K, a unit of these I think comes stock 10. But if you were to play this in one-page rules, you can take them, I think, in a squad of 5. And that way, I made it so that whoever plays this army could have twice as many squads of 5 rather than 4 squads of 10. So you see here on the far right, you have one of the sergeant characters. And then here, almost in the middle, you have another one. And then back here, you've got one there, and another one there. So I try to, like I said with the skin tones, I tried to make it so that you can make different combinations without anything looking really, really out of place. And when you're playing the game, you just have to point out to someone, you're like, oh, this guy here, this sergeant has the dog. He's the actual sergeant model. Whereas, you know, this guy over here, he doesn't have the dog. He's just a regular model. Or if you break it up into more, every model that has the pose here with the gun and the knife, that's one of your sergeants. Right? So that was the plan. Hopefully it works out. Then at the back, these guys are actually a lot of fun to paint. We have a whole bunch of the Kroot riders. So in the middle here are the heavy supports. So I decided to do one with a very, very dark ebony black skin with a green rider. And then the other one here, kind of a gray. And then same thing with the leather. One has a light color leather, one has a dark color leather. The spikes, one is a lighter brown, one's a darker brown. The rings on the arms, one's a gold, the other's a bronze or brass. And then as far as the 2 units of 3, I made the skin tones on one unique, so you can tell this is a squad because they're all in blue. And then over here, this is a squad because they're all in brown. Now you could mix and match and it would look just fine. But if you wanted to run 2 squads of 3, you can easily tell which ones are which in case they all start to charge into the same thing and get, all caught up together. So I'm really happy with the way these came out. They weren't that difficult to paint. I find painting muscles is very easy because it's nice and defined. So you always know exactly where to put that highlight. And another thing that I did, at least with the Kroot here, the bigger guys underneath, the monsters, no washes. I did everything just highlighting from the base color up. Now on the Kroot here, yeah, everybody got a wash, especially these guys here. They kind of needed one just to give that muscle definition. So I painted their base coat, washed them, and then did a layer of highlight, and you got a nice contrast there. So there you have it. There is an army of Kroot. So let me know what you think. What would you add to it? What would you subtract from it? Any of you who are Dow Union players or Tau players in 40K, what do you think of the new Kroot armies? Do you go back to the Tau with the battle suits, or do you really like the new Kroot Carnivore armies? Let me know, and I'll see you on the next Army Showcase video. Until then, keep your dice on your table, and remember, it doesn't have to be perfect as long as it's good enough.